All right, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I always love that opening song, and the problem is I get it stuck in my head all day. So I have to find another song to get that one out of my head. And then it's just a bad problem because I keep having that happen. So thank you all for joining me. We are here to learn about Confluence templates. We're going to talk about them both from the point of view of the person using them, the content creator within Confluence, but also maybe even more importantly, from the perspective of the space admin, so the person who can manage and maintain them. And very quickly, if you could give me a thumbs up or I can hear you in the chat. I've had enough audio issues. I'm just paranoid, and I want to make sure you all can hear me okay. And yep, standard opening question, where are y'all from? I'm in the wonderful Bay Area, California, but we tend to get people from all over the place, which to me is just really, really cool. All right, as usual, we're going to pop into some slides and just talk about some orientation, I guess, about templates, and make sure that we have an understanding of some basic terms and technology, some basic terms. But then we're going to get hands-on with Confluence, and we're going to do all this live. For this demo, I'll be in Confluence Cloud Premium. Most, if not all, of what I show you should be available in any flavor of Confluence. So it shouldn't matter what version you're using. If I'm doing anything that is unique to Cloud or unique to Premium, I'll do my best to let you all know. But most things I do will work on Data Center, on Cloud Premium, free. It doesn't particularly matter which version. So let's see if I can get my head in the right spot here. Got to make a little adjustment. My camera had some problems yesterday. All right. And here we go. So, first question is, who is Rob, and why are you listening to me talk about Confluence? My name's Rob, and I've been in IT for my whole career. I started off as the help desk worker at university, and I was just the person who would bring you your monitor. And then I learned everything hands-on. So I didn't have any formal training in information technology. I kind of learned it all by doing. And that's been a very common theme in my career. I've been a project manager. I've been a consultant. I've been a sysadmin, an analyst. And almost everything I've learned by doing. I've had the opportunity and the space to sit down and read the manual or play with the system or be expected to use it. And that works for me. I enjoy learning that way. I figured out how to do these live streams like that, but it can be painful. There was a lot of frustration in figuring out how does that work. And that's why I do these courses. I have courses on different topics. I have courses on learning platforms, but I want folks like you all to avoid that pain. Now, if you want to learn by doing, that's awesome. Please do that. And I'll encourage you always to get hands-on and go practice. That's a really great way to learn. You're going to remember things. That said, it can also be annoying. So that's why we're here. I've been using Confluence for about 10 years. I've been on cloud almost that entire time. There were a few years I was on data center, but I didn't appreciate the difference enough. A quick question: who's been in here before with me? Maybe not this particular one, but if you've been in a training before, I'd love to hear that. So interaction. YouTube is great because I can reach out and 300 people signed up for this one. That's amazing. It's hard though because I can't see you and hear you. So please use the chat. It should just be to the right of wherever you see my head. So please drop in questions. We will also ask you all questions. Things like, where are you from? Just to get to know you a bit. But we'll also have questions about templates in this case. And you might see us ask a question, how comfortable are you or how well do you know? And for that question, a 1, you don't know it at all. A 5, you're super comfortable with it. That's an important question to me. It helps us figure out what is a good topic to repeat, what is a good topic to expand into, or during the training, what should I dig into more? And we've got at least 6 people who've been in here before. I never thought I would have a repeat crew that keeps showing up. I really appreciate you all continuing to come learn with me. Thank you. Barbara's a frequent flyer. We'll have to figure out a frequent flyer miles program or something. That said, if you can like and subscribe, that really helps us. That lets us know later what went well, what do you all like. And again, I want to make sure what we create is good for you and interesting and useful. So that's one way you can tell us. You can also use the chat. And I will also share my email at the end. So please email me or find me on LinkedIn and let me know what you think. I'm much more curious in what you learn and get out of this than most other things, so I'm always available. A quick agenda. Basically, what's a template? That's what we're going to go over. I always start with the concepts because there will be terms that might be unique to Confluence, or there might be terms you don't know. And if you don't know them, it will be confusing to follow along with me, but also it will be hard for you to go find help later. I want to make sure when you get out of this, hopefully you know as much about templates as I do or more. But also if you do need help, you know how to get it. And for me, that was a big problem learning Confluence because I didn't have that training. I didn't know certain terms. So it was really hard to go Google and look up help. Kareen, good to know you always find something useful. Thank you. Some folks from Durham, awesome. Susie, I hope I'm saying that right. Learn by doing. Yeah, I say learn by doing is good because I remember those lessons of making mistakes and doing it wrong. But you have a great point, and I'll talk about this at the end. But the more perspective we can get, the more people and examples we can see, the stronger we'll become. So our first question, how comfortable are you with templates? And this is just that 1 to 5 question. I've added some question slides to give me a coffee break in the middle of this. I realize I don't drink all my coffee and that makes me sad. So take a moment though and consider just in general, how comfortable are you with templates? And while you ponder that question, I will answer the question, what is a template? Essentially, they're just pre-built page structures. Now, I should probably reconsider this course because there are now templates in Whiteboards. We're going to focus on page templates. And if time allows, why do people always go into halves? Sorry. I just saw the first 2 responses, and it's both. Chad's got a 4.5. Susie's a 3.5. I'm just laughing. Chad, I would love to know what you think that 0.5 missing is, and I'd love to get you to that 5. Now, one argument is you can never know everything, right? Because there's so much to learn. But when I think of these questions, I think of them from the standpoint of if I'm at work and someone asks me a question about them, how reasonable is it I can answer the question? Or if I'm using them, do I have confidence in my ability to use them? Victoria has never used templates, and I am very happy you're here, and I'm really glad you're comfortable sharing. You're not too comfortable with them. Same for you, Alistair. Being able to say, maybe we should change the scale from a 1 to a 10. Being able to say, I don't know is very important because then we can learn and we can be better and expand. But a template is just a pre-built page structure. That's how I think of them. I think Confluence has a more technical definition, but there's something that you click on and it drops formatting right onto the page for you. They're unique per space. Now, this is something important to remember and an area of frustration. You might find a great template in a space in Confluence called engineering, and then you go over to the finance space and you can't find the template. So I hear a lot of people complain, hey, the template doesn't exist, Confluence is broken, etc. And they're just looking in the wrong spot. But Confluence doesn't do a really good job of making this super obvious unless you know. So I'll show you how you can figure that out, and I'll also show you how you can find templates in other spaces. Yeah, please continue to use the 0.5s for now. It's not too big of a deal. I'm always amused where people put their skill and how they get to the half mark. Oh, and now Susie's schooling us on scales. Never a 5-point scale. I also appreciate these trainings because we have great folks that show up and share their ideas. That's not the one that I wanted to show. I wanted to show this one. The other thing about templates is space administrators can manage and maintain them. And that's an important thing to remember. If a template doesn't do what you need, if you want it to do more, if you think it would be better if, a space admin can help you. So we'll also talk about how can we change them. Now, there's a couple of different ways they're useful. One is standardization. And this is standardization for the consumer. I have a how-to template that I use. I think it's the stock Confluence one that I modified slightly. But my support teams know when I make a how-to article for them, it's always going to have background at the top, a table of contents, then the steps, related resources, and videos. Every time. So they know if they need the video, they can go to that and go right to the bottom, and it's always there. They know that if you need to find the steps, it's in the middle. They know that if they build out a page that can pull in an excerpt, there's always one on the how-to pages that explains the background. So by standardizing this thing for consumers, it makes it easier for them to use Confluence and to find what they need. Now, it also makes it easier for content creation. And this is where most people think of the utility of a template. Because if I go and make, Dave, curious, I'll keep talking, but, only space admins that can create and manage. For the most part, there's a minor caveat that I'll talk about as we get there. But the biggest use case is it makes it easier for people making content. Now, I pick on HR a lot because I work with human resource teams, but if they have policies on vacation or garden leave or whatever, and they want to make a new one, they shouldn't have to rewrite the structure and the format. They should just be able to click a button and then get that structure on the page. So it makes it easier for creators, especially ones that aren't as familiar with Confluence and maybe don't want to fight with the formatting or don't know all the buttons and features. They also have a couple unique features, though, that mainly help the creation. They have variables and placeholder text, and these help make it even easier. The placeholder text is the gray text that pops up, and variables are pieces of information you can use in multiple spots, like fill it in once and it fills in several times. We'll see this live as well. Yep, there are also global and space templates. Y'all are skipping ahead. I love this. You're reading my mind. But templates are also shareable. So I can build one out for the engineering team and then folks in finance can use it, or different project teams can use them. So just another general question. How often do you use templates and what's your favorite? And while we're in here, I'm going to pull up, not that one, this one. Chad copies and pastes. There's absolutely nothing wrong with going to a page that you know is good, editing it, Command A, Command paste it somewhere else. My challenge with that is I hate deleting all the stuff that's already there. So that's one way to do it. Another way is I've had folks who have an entire Confluence space just called templates. And then folks can go in there and copy pages. That's another way to do this. My challenge with that second one is then you end up with a bunch of pages that are just templates without content. And that can confuse folks who find it. And if you restrict them, then folks who need them might not be able to get to them. So it's not that it's wrong or bad. It's just another way to do it. I personally find the built-in templates feature overcomes those challenges. There are 3 different places Confluence will show you templates as someone and you're making a page. We'll cover all of these when we get live. The templates menu at the top will bring you to a nice rendered page of just a little panel of each template. I use that more for browsing, just to see what's in there. And I honestly don't use it all that much. And that's because when I started using templates, the bar on the right, did I say instances? I must have meant spaces, Dave. Thank you for keeping me honest. The other reason I love people in here is because they make sure I don't say anything too silly. Um, Although I'll take that as a takeaway and see if we can move templates between copies of Confluence instances. There must be a way. April, welcome from Georgia. Just started global templates. We'll talk about those as well. Global templates span spaces, which is pretty neat. Problem is, not everyone can make them. So when I interact with templates and I'm making stuff, usually I'm that panel on the right. And that panel on the right used to be default when you started a page, which is why I used it. They've now added the bottom panel. I don't know what they call it, but you'll notice it has 3 templates listed, the one-on-one, the retros, etc. And also some other things like adding a table of contents. So when we make a page, there's a whole bunch of places that templates will show up to make them kind of hard to miss. Now, on that side panel, there's a number of things we can do that I never knew. And when I discovered them, I kind of kicked myself. One is you can look for templates in other spaces, and that's that drop down right at the top. It will default to whichever space you exist. You exist in. In this example, there's a space called Live Learning, and that will have some set of templates. And this is where if you know there's a template somewhere else that you think is useful, you can just change that drop down and access it. I didn't know that. I found that out, I think, a year ago when I was looking up this course, what else do I need to learn? And that would have saved me a lot of problems. But you can also search through the templates in the space. This is important to teach our teams. Most of the time, like 95% of people use Confluence to do their job. They don't need to know how to make a template. They don't need to know how permissions work or how to back up an instance. Those are all good topics, but most people, most of the time, just want to do their job. So showing them how to search and find is very powerful. So if you take one thing away that you didn't know, share this with your team, how to search for templates, how to find them, because that'll enable them and unlock a lot of creation. You can also filter by category. I think the categories are just provided by Confluence with the exception of custom and promoted, which is admins we can control. And then down at the bottom, we can browse. You'll notice there are 144 templates in there. Confluence comes preloaded with a bunch. And I'll encourage you to always explore them, like pop in and just look around. And this brings me to a question. What is the difference between a blueprint and a template? Chad, looking in another space saved me from copying. Yes, I'm laughing because I had to do the same thing. If I couldn't find the template, I would go make a page in the space with the template, copy it or move it into the new space, and then I could use it. It was a bit of a waste of time, but I just didn't know another way. April, can I cover page properties? What I can do, April, is when we make a template together, I'll include that macro just so I can talk about it a bit. Well, Dave, don't leave us in suspense. Please share. What is it? So, space admins also can find templates. If you have space admin access, it shows up under look and feel. And this is where you can create, edit, and manage your templates. This is where I spend a lot of time as a space admin. I want to set up my teams for success, so I'll go talk to them about how they make pages. I'll review pages they make to see if there are things they're doing that I might want to templatize for them. So I look for ways, and I'm proactive in talking to them to figure out how do I make their lives easier when they create something. And it's all from this templates menu. Okay, our question of blueprint versus template. And Dave is still holding out and not sharing. Just picking on you, Dave. All right. Templates are created by admins. You might also see them called custom templates. These terms confused me for a while because in my mind they're the same thing. There's a slight difference. The templates are things we can create as admins, and they show up under user-created templates. And they're managed by admins, which is great. Blueprints, on the other hand, are provided by Atlassian. So when you first turn on an instance of Confluence and do nothing else, you'll have 137 templates. There's some number. And these are all the templates you see in that template sidebar. They're also provided by partners. So some marketplace partners have blueprints that either when you install their app or just use Confluence, you get. And these are great. They are a wonderful starting point, and they are a source of inspiration and something we can use. That said, I personally don't use most templates most of the time. I tend to just leave them. I find they clutter things up a bit. As a global admin, I'm pretty sure we can go in and turn them off for everyone. I wouldn't want to do that because if someone's inspired by them or uses them, I want them to go use them. I just think that there are a ton of them that most of the time they're like the books on the shelf behind me that you all can't see that make me look really smart. Maybe I don't read them. They're just there for show. Oh, Dave knows the difference. Yep. So this is just important to understand when you go in as an admin, the difference between blueprints and templates. We can turn off blueprints. We can't delete them, but we can edit them. So if the blueprint frustrates you, you can go in and modify it. There are two special macros that show up when we edit a template. One is a variable, and this is some kind of input, maybe project name or team members or something. And you can use it in multiple places on the template. So when it's created, it fills it in automatically. This saves me the trouble of typing in the name of the project 15 times. I just type it in once, and it shows up everywhere that variable exists. The other is called placeholder text. And this is that gray text that shows up when you create a page from a template, just to remind you what goes in that spot. So this is great for creators because it'll, again, remind them, hey, you should put something in here, whether it's the name of the policy or some other information. Carrie doesn't like the pineapple icons? What? I'm sorry, what pineapple icon? Someone mentioned global templates already and kind of stole my thunder, which is perfect. But if you do you use global templates? And then what do you use them for? April, it's just out of frame, and I'm also working on improving my office setup, so you might see them. But there is a very impressive looking bookshelf right over there, and it has many, many aged tomes of knowledge that make me seem learned. So when you all see them, you'll nod and understand that I'm a very learned person, and I can't even say that with a straight face. Global templates are available across your instance. Now, I didn't know these existed for a while until I became the pineapple icon. Oh, sorry, Emily, that's a question. Now I really want to know what the pineapple icon is. Global templates exist across the instance, so that means any space can access them. I didn't know they existed because I wasn't an org admin. I didn't have Confluence admin access. Now that I do, though, these things are great. You can go in and create a template that everyone in your organization can access. This gets around the problem of templates only appearing in one space. It'll just always show up in the list. So you might have to talk to IT or whoever's your org admin, but you can insert these and add them. And Chad, you nailed it on the head there. Don't use the global, yep, because your sysadmin doesn't let you. And that's why I didn't even know that it was a feature. So it might depend on your environment and what everyone will allow. All right, this is my reminder that I have to make better graphics because the Confluence logo is off-center, and that we're teleporting into Confluence. As a reminder, this is Confluence Cloud Premium. I will call out as much as I can that is not either premium or available, not available everywhere. I don't think we'll run into anything. There are a few add-ons I have in here. You're looking at Karma, which is why this looks so pretty. But in terms of the templates, everything I'm talking about is stock. So it doesn't matter what flavor you're using, you should have access. Who can create global templates? You have to have I think it's org admin. But you have to have instance level permissions, which most people, most of the time, will not have. And that's why I didn't know they existed. I couldn't even see the button. I will show you where the button lives and how to create them. They look and feel exactly like a regular template. Once they are created, Dave, anyone can use them. So I'll put in a global template here, and I'll just show you where we can find them. But once they exist, they look exactly like every other template. I am just going to go to my space, and I'm looking for space settings. And of course, my Zoom doesn't work today. There's always something. Nope, not going to happen. Okay. In space settings, I'm looking for look and feel. And I can also use this jump to settings, just type in the word templates. And this is the list of templates that exist. Now I'm starting here so we can add a user-created template, and I'll show you what that looks like as the content creator. But because we're talking about global templates, if I go all the way to the bottom, this is how I discovered them. They stuff them way down at the bottom underneath everything. And April looking for the same look and feel. So global templates, April could help because you just make them once, everyone can use them. Again, I have org admin permissions in this instance, so I can click on Manage Global Templates. And you'll notice the screen looks basically the same. The only difference is the word global. And if you look on the left, I'm now in the admin panel. And again, most people wouldn't be in here. They don't have this access. But now if I turn off blueprints, they'll be turned off across the instance, not just in the space I was in. So this is where your admin may have decided, no, we're not going to use the HR knowledge base management template for some reason. But I could also make a template. So I'll use this as an example to walk through template creation. It looks and feels exactly the same, whether it's a global template, whether it's a blueprint, whether it's a custom template in a space. And my Zoom works. And now it's stuck. That's not good. Oh, no. Huh. This might be interesting. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. So while I have my crack tech team working on it, there we go. All right. I'll need to give it a title, of course. I'm going to call this just global template example, just to make it very obvious that this one's the global template. And then I would just fill it in like I would a page. So I'm just going to quickly create a template. And someone had asked about page properties. Templates support every macro. Templates support links. Templates support inserting Jira tickets or searches. It supports images. In this case, I'm going to add page properties just as an example. But page properties is a way for us to include information about the page. I would say properties about the page. Sorry, I'm being a bit cheeky there. But I might have something like owner, or maybe I have creation date or version. I just have different information. And then under background, I'm going to add placeholder text. So it's just a macro that I'll add forward. And I'll type in the word placeholder. And I really want my Zoom to work because it would make your lives so much simpler. I'll try it one more time and see if I break the internet again. Not gonna happen. Okay, fine. I'll add some quick placeholder text, and I'll just include a note to the editor on what to add here. You know, a high-level example of the process, no more than 2 sentences. And you'll notice that shows up as gray text. When this is used, this will show up, and then it's deleted automatically. So the creator doesn't even have to delete it. Confluence just knows remove it. Maybe after that, I want a table of contents. And I'm just quickly like slamming some things in. If there are other specific things you want to see in a template or see me add, drop it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to quickly make up a thing. And I can also add labels to templates. So up in the top right, ooh, Chad. I would love to hear about adoption. What do you mean by adoption? And I like this topic because for me, it's almost never about Confluence can't do something technically. It's almost always the people around it and how they decide to use it. What I'm assuming is getting buy-in for people to use the templates and to find them and to actually leverage the template tool itself. But I'd love to hear more about it. And feel free, if you need more time, to shoot me an email. But I can pop in a label here, and maybe I'll just call this global. So now I have my wonderful, beautiful, perfect template. I'll just click save. And it's going to kick me back to this global screen, and you'll notice I now have a template. From here, I should add a description. This is a short, it's the length of an original tweet, 255 characters. This will be just a demonstration template, global template. But this will show up in the template side panel and also for admins, so they'll know what this is for. I can also delete it if I need to and edit it. So now I've made a global template. I'm just going to go back to that same space I was in. And now I'm going to go use a template. I'm going to go make a page. So I'll hit create. Actually, I want to go to templates first and just show you this one. Again, I don't use this particular screen. It's the templates link up at the top. But this lists out every template in the space I'm in. So for new users or folks who are not as comfortable navigating templates, this can be a good place to show them. I include stuff like this when someone joins my team. You know, I have a 30-minute, hey, how's it going? Oh, by the way, you know, do you use Confluence? No. Awesome. I have two or three things to show you. Here's your personal space. Put your notes in there. Here's our team space where all our info is. And here's how to use templates. Just to make sure they have it. And I show them this because this will let them just scroll and look around and click on things and see what they look like. Up at the top, we have the same filtering options. And I will zoom in a bit with this. Oh, that did not help at all. I apologize. But I can click on My Templates. Look at that. There's our global template. Maybe popular templates, ones that are used a lot, documentation-related templates, etc. Or I can click this little search, and if I type in search terms, it will narrow down the list for me. So I always make sure folks know that exists, because that can help them. And here I can change the space. So if I want to look in human resources templates, I can see them. And just as quick proof that that global template does exist here, it still shows up. But now if I go make a page, and again, templates in this context are just on page. Peter's on data center. I think offhand, Peter, that placeholder text and variables are only available after like version 8.5. I forget the exact number, but you may or may not have those. Victoria, I wish there were more templates. I would be curious, Victoria, to know what templates are missing. And what I'm thinking is, you know, someone out there probably has one and finding ways to share them. In my mind, it could almost, you know, like on my blog or something, we could just have a list of templates you can copy and paste and slam in. But there are stock ones, but there might not be enough. Susie, do you know if there's a way to see, I hope I'm saying that right, if a global template is being used? I have a sneaky way of doing it. If you recall, I'm just going to open up my search. I added a label to that template just called global. So one way to look for it is include a label on your pages. But there's no statistics that I'm aware of. There's no metrics for how often is a template used. You can see it, and I'll show you in a moment, if a page is created by a template, so that data is in the system. I just don't know a way to get it out. Along at the bottom, you'll notice this little bar. This showed up 4 or 5 months ago. Cool. If I click on all templates, though, I get this sidebar. And I need to get my head out of the way. Woo! There we go. And I'm always missing all this great chat. Let me catch up here real quick. Getting users to adopt things. And my head's in the way again. Let me... Uh-oh, and now I can't move my head. Oh, man. Let me just turn my head off. Bleep. There we go. Have adoption issues or stuck in the mindset that SharePoint is better. Carrie, hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. Adoption is huge and convincing people to use a thing, right? The best example I have is I had a group that didn't want to use Jira. They had used Zendesk. We forced them over. That's what management wanted. And so then they came to me and said, we hate it. We want to go back. And I said, okay, write down everything that you don't like about Jira. List out everything that's better about Zendesk. They gave me a list of 15, 20 things. And then I was able to solve pretty much all of them in the first 15 minutes of a call. I forget how quickly I was able to solve their problems. So it can be a question of finding ways to work with them, but also understanding why they think SharePoint is better. But it also depends on your organization. Sometimes you're just stuck using the other thing. Templates can't be used when importing a doc or applying to an existing page. Yeah, you can only use a template when you first create the page. What this is referring to, you can actually click import here on this template panel and use an existing Word doc and just port it right into Confluence. There is no way, though, for the system to know how to take that page and mush it into, say, a strategic plan. So when I find a template I like, I can just click on it, and that will drop it onto the page. So if I'm starting from scratch, this is a lot of great sense. Excuse me. This makes a lot of sense. But to Emily's point, if I have another Word doc that has information, this doesn't make as much sense because then I have to copy and paste and like move it around. So the use case for a template is really a new page, new content, not necessarily transferring it in. Chad uses buttons. Chad, I love this trick. I will come back to this in just a minute and show folks. Getting people to push the button is the problem. Interesting. So you've done some work to make it easier for folks to use templates by giving them a button on a page. The button Chad is referring to, I'm going to go find our global template. Now, I could find it by scrolling around in here, but you'll notice there's 144 of these, and I'm probably never going to find the global template. So if I click on custom, these are all the custom templates, the ones that have been created by an admin, including my beautiful little global template. So that will insert it onto the page. And if you squint your eyes real hard, you can see there's a little star. Individuals can also star templates, and that will drop them under the starred menu. So I also encourage people to do that. Take 5 minutes once or 5 minutes once every 6 months and update your list of favorite templates, and then you can find them more easily. I think I saw some things in here about, oh man, this amazing chat just keeps going, about turning off templates. Yes. Emily, you can disable blueprints globally. So if you have an org admin, you can go into global templates and turn them off at the instance level. That might save you a lot of time. Here's my template, and the button that Dave mentioned, if I just do a /, and I always forget the name of it, create from template. I use this button on a couple of pages. I have a meeting notes section of my personal space, and I just have a button that says like create new meeting note. And I go find my meeting notes template. At least it's alphabetized. But this is nice because you can include variables in the title very easily. So I can do, at current date, meeting notes for Rob. And now when I click this button, it's going to make a brand new page in the same space based on that template with that title. So this is another way for adoption to make it easier for folks to use the system because it lets them just click once. So it's something I use a lot. But to Dave's point, like I have to train my team, hey, go to this page. And then right at the top, there's a button. Just push the button for me. You can lead a horse to water, that joke, but you can't force him to drink. You can lead a horse to water and like shove him in the water and he still might not want to drink. And that's where it can be frustrating as an admin to get people to use the tool that we have to use, even if you make it as simple as possible. So here I have my templated page. At the top, I have that page properties. So I have an owner. I'll just make that Rob. Creation date. 2 / will let you just insert today's date. I'm very, very lazy, and version 1.0. Background, a high-level example of this process, no more than 2 sentences. Sentence 1. Sentence 2. And then I could keep adding content. So from this point, it's just another page. I don't have to remember, what the structure is or the format because it's there. Okay, what else is the chat running away on? I am sorry about that experience, Emily. Spent 45 minutes getting yelled at by someone who's mad at not being able to use Control-P to print Confluence pages. Yikes. Unimpressed by 2 clicks for a PDF export. Oh no, I'm sorry. April, typically leadership has to set expectations. Sorry. I'm chuckling, April, for a few reasons. I rarely work in environments where leadership cares about Confluence. They acknowledge that it exists, but I've never had leadership, tell the group, here's how you're going to use it for success. It tends to be an afterthought, unfortunately. So hopefully you're able to get leadership to help you get traction. I'm also just laughing at the joke that when the C-suite says to do something, we should probably all do it. Templates are a sensitive topic. Actually, users are sensitive. I'll stay out of that one. Dave, I used to like Zendesk. Excuse me. Always find a way to make life easier. Yes, about that magic button I showed you, create from template. It does have options to let you control where it's created. So very quickly, again, I'll bring this back. I can use the space key to tell it where should it be inserted. And that can be useful, especially, say I have an engineering team, and they know how to use just their part of Confluence, but there's a support team that needs documentation on how to fix bugs. I might put a button in the engineering team's page that will make the page from a template over in support. That way, engineering doesn't have to worry about where does it go. All they know is push the button. How'd you add the link icon that you put the mouse on top of a background tile? Are you referring to this? No. Winnie, if you could help me just describe a bit more where you saw that, just so I can help you out. I'd appreciate it. All right, so this is making a template. App is not responding. Let me refresh my page. All right, and now we're getting puns in the chat. The rabbit says I'm a typo. Oh, I really like bad jokes. I spent 20 minutes filling up dead air at an all hands once telling dad jokes and puns. So the more I have, the happier I am. So once this page is published, you'll notice that placeholder text is just gone. And otherwise, this looks like a page, like any other page. There's no difference. It should have my label. So it's got that global label that the template had. So this is one indirect way to track template usage. I can come in here and look for pages with the global label or whatever the name of the template is and find, wow, that fell flat immediately. Did I spell global wrong? This is one way to track it indirectly. Again, you're looking for the label, though, not the page. So if this is removed, it won't work. Curious what other questions y'all have. Thank you for responding, Winnie. When you're editing a template, you put your mouse on top of a word, and there is a link icon. That will appear on top of... Do you mean like this when I go over background? This little link icon? Every header... So if I go edit this again, any text that's header text, so if I click on normal text, headers 1 through 6, will have that. And so you can link to every heading. This is a great trick in general. If I take this table of contents and click on a link, I can email that to someone or send it in an instant message, and it will take them to that header on that page. I can also paste this into another page as a reference. I do this a lot for like specific policy information, a big long policy. I just go grab the link to the header of whatever they need. Is there a macro for pop-up text on a page? I don't believe so, at least stock. There's the expand. That's the only one I'm aware of. Okay, so if I go into the space settings of this space and into templates, I've heard a lot of folks talking about there's so many blueprints. In the space, I can turn these on or off. But if I have that global templates permission, I can turn them off instance wide. And Emily's yelling at us again. I don't know why. But yes, they're absolutely correct. When we are editing a page, we do want to be careful. So if I come back here real quick, here it is. If I send this link, we're safe because we're not editing. But if I click edit and I'm in the editor, and I can tell because the URL has the word edit near the end, it will send them to this page where they can edit things. So this could be a bit dicey. Maybe I don't want to do this because maybe this person doesn't have edit access. And I just pasted the link and you'll see the word edit. Again, if you squint real hard and use a magnifying glass, is right up here. But if I go into global templates, I can turn them all off from here. Again, I would have to go talk my sysadmin to go do this, unless I happen to have access. If you have access, it might be worth your time to just get a cup of coffee and flip off a couple of these. So I turned off that HR knowledge management. This should also disable it in spaces, so I don't have to worry about mussing around with these in the space. And Emily's yelling at us again. That is a great question, Emily and Dave. Why did they do that? I'm going to assume it's not intentional. I think when they made the ability to copy the link, it just grabs the link of the page. It doesn't consider. So it was more of an omission than an intentional to make it work this way. Ooh. In Confluence, not all macros work in global templates. This is why I also love doing these live trainings on YouTube, because there are people smarter than me. And if I'm very lucky, like I am right here, those smarter people will help me learn. So I appreciate y'all. Sorry, I'm laughing at Emily. I was joking about the yelling, and I'm glad they're joking back. Again, this is learning by doing. I mentioned this way at the start. Like, you can learn by doing, but you will make mistakes you don't realize because you don't know that copying that link is edit. And this is where you'll remember it. Emily's saying here they were burned and wants other people not to be burned. However, in my mind, for most people, it's much better to just know not to do that thing. So hopefully we're all going to remember now, because Emily was yelling at us in big air quotes, that we can avoid that. Dave, future conversations, how do we get around? You misspelled amazing, Dave. Search functionality. I'm planning a future training on search and improving search, so thank you for that. Okay, so I've talked about look and feel. There is one, I'll make a space template here and quickly just add it in space template. I forgot to talk about variables though, so I might have something, a structure set up, project info. Project name. I need help here. Project name, background. There we go. Timeline. Okay. So I may have a templated page or a page where the same piece of information, the name of the project, would have to show up in multiple places. Now, one way I get around this is the very manual, very ugly, put stuff in brackets or parentheses, and then remind people, hey, go replace the bracket and parentheses. I'm much too lazy for that, though. So instead, if I do a / and look for variable, I can put in this macro that exists within templates called a variable. Now I have to give it some name, so I'll call this project name. And then I have to pick the type of variable. 1 line of text, multiple lines of text, or a list of things. But I can save this. Oops, not what I wanted. I want it to be text. There we go. And then I can just copy and paste it, or add a new variable with the same name somewhere. And then when someone creates this page, they'll be prompted to type in project name, but it'll update everywhere the variable exists. So in this very ugly example, if I save this and just make a new page from it, I only need to type in project name 1 time, and we'll see it show up in multiple places. So I'll click all templates to get it back. And I'll look under custom, and here we have my beautiful space template. So before I get to the editor, it's taking me to this page to fill in the variables. And I've got this little thing reminding me. So I'll call this jQuil3, the reckoning. And you'll notice it showed up under background and timeline. So I use these when I realize on a page the same thing has to be put in multiple times just to speed that up. I said the same thing when I learned about them, Emily. I didn't realize that they existed, and now I'm like, hey, this saves me a lot of time. But you'll see the name of that project is now just inserted as text. So again, like templates are intended to speed up creation, and this is another great way to do that. But this does require us to go understand our team's process. And this might mean we have to go talk to our team and say, hey, team, show me the things you use. And this is where it kind of relates to adoption. I'm going to go back to talking head for a minute just because that little thing at the bottom is bugging me. But a lot about systems and Confluence isn't can it do variables. It's how do we convince the people to come and push the button that we made that does the work for them. And that's a whole other topic. But a lot of it for me is just going and talking to folks, spending time with them, having them show me, hey, how do you do it? Show me your pain. Because, I can kind of guess what will frustrate them. But until I see someone struggle to make a page or fight with a template, I don't truly know what annoys them. And that's where most of my work as a admin in Confluence isn't in Confluence. It's around Confluence. It's making sure teams are training their new hires on what a template is. It's making sure I understand how do they use it and then trying to guess in advance what kind of use cases are they going to need to solve so when they get there, they don't have to struggle. As usual, I have one more slide to share. Blip. Martin, great question. When does a whiteboard and databases? When are we going to do whiteboard and database templates? I will pop in right after this last slide and show you. This course was created, I think, around the time whiteboards became into existence. So I hadn't considered whiteboard templates, but I'll talk about them in just a minute. So what's next? Check out Atlassian Community, community.atlassian.com. Please use a personal email address. I say that because I have multiple accounts from old companies. So if you use a work email and you leave that company, you lose access to your community account. So I've started using a personal email, and I make a mistake every once in a while and post as the wrong Rob. But it means I keep that account. Go get hands-on, explore your instance, get a free one. Check out my content, but also others. As we've seen in the chat, there's a lot of super smart people out there. So please go talk to folks. Go interact with others about Confluence. Go learn from them because we can't really know too much about the systems we use. We all have our own amount that we want to learn. But if you're curious, please keep learning. Don't stop. Excuse me. That's my email down there at the bottom. Please shoot me an email. Many folks have. It's given me ideas for content, but I've also had great exchanges and helped folks overcome challenges, both on the technical but also on the adoption side. Okay, back to Confluence very quickly. We had a question about whiteboard templates. So if I make a new whiteboard, this is only in cloud. They're not available in data center at this point. I'll get this screen. This screen are the whiteboard templates. There are less options as far as I understand. Can I move my head? I can't. That broke. I'll just move it over here this way. Blip. But when I first open a whiteboard, if I click on any of these, it's going to drop in that template. Now, some things to consider. I'm unaware of any way, there it is, to see what the template is before I use it. So unlike the page templates that will show me what it actually looks like, all I get are these little drawings. So this might require more exploration. I personally check this box in the bottom left so I don't see templates all the time. I prefer to start with a blank whiteboard, but I do recommend, as always, go and look at these templates and just see what might be useful. The nice thing is the good people at Confluence have added like helpful tips on how to use it, as well as what is the template, like what's the concept behind it. So we don't get this with the page templates. I think that's partially because whiteboards are newer, but also because these are intended to be more of a live collaboration thing versus a page template, which is me creating the content. Databases. There are 4 templates now for databases on the right. I tend to use the default empty, but I can click on the product requirements and you'll see it filled in some different ways to use this for product requirements. Again, these are starting points. This is not saying this is the only way to do, but it's somewhere we can begin to get ideas for what could a content library look like, or what about a research repository. So templates, in my mind, aren't quite as built out. Like, it's the least built out for databases, a bit for whiteboards, and a lot more for pages. But I also can't edit the whiteboard or database templates. They're just whatever they are. And of course, I'm in the way again. Let's back on up here. Related links that come up automatically. I believe this is a space setting. Very quickly going to space settings. Beep. So under general, there's a related content. This might be what you're referring to. By default, it's turned on, and it's shown on every page. It might be turned off, or it's possible your instance doesn't have this at all. But this is what can dictate the general... Is it going to show up here? These at the bottom. So these 6 panels are the related content. This is Confluence essentially guessing at what relates to this page. Now, this instance isn't really built out very well, so these probably don't make a lot of sense. But this is that feature, and you can see I can collapse it or not. And I think if I edit it, can I get rid of it? Nope. So again, space settings, and then just related content. I can turn it off or on there. Emily, you're correct. If you're on Confluence Cloud free, you get 3 whiteboards per person. It goes up to, I think, 1,000 or something at premium. Dave, I know where that setting is because I just finished building a over 4-hour Confluence course, and I went through every screen I could find, and that's where it is. Someone's mentioning content by label. Very quickly, I didn't use it here. Okay, I'm just going to edit this page and drop it in. It's now called filter by label. Just so folks are aware, they changed the name on us, which drives me crazy. Basically, I pick a label, and then this macro will run around and grab every page that has that label. There's plenty more options. I can show an excerpt or not. I can show the space name or the label or not. I use this to build dynamic lists of pages. Thinking back to my support example in the middle of the training, I can pull in every how-to. So I have a how-to label and then a system label, how-to and Confluence. And I can pull in just the pages that are how to do something in Confluence. And this will just update itself as long as the labels are correct. Just going to check chat for other questions. Again, please reach out to me direct if you have follow-ups. I do post a blog post as well on Atlassian community with as many of these questions as I can get and cram in there. It'll include a link to this, and this training exists on our YouTube channel until the heat death of the universe. Carrie, thank you for coming. Good luck with your leadership meeting. Really appreciate you. All right, folks. Looks like we're slowing down a bit. But my friends at App Anvil dropped a link to my online learning courses. Please check that out. If you're curious about that new Confluence course, shoot me an email. I'll be happy to send you a link. But be on the lookout for more trainings. One every Thursday morning, 6 a.m. Pacific. Daylight savings time is happening in California, so please note that the time may shift. Please watch your calendars, watch wherever you signed up, our YouTube or Bevy, just in case the time changes. It is annoying, and I apologize. um, So I do also have another YouTube channel. Thank you for posting that one where I have other videos, but my big Confluence Live learnings are here. I have stuff slated out now until the end of May, I want to say, but more ideas are coming. So please be on the lookout for new trainings, and please keep the ideas coming. I'm probably gonna do one on search, one on labels, etc. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate the shout out. But otherwise, I appreciate everyone taking an hour to come learn with me. I never thought folks would want to listen to me talk about Confluence, and I really hope you learned something. As long as one of you learned a thing, that's more than successful for me. And I know I learned something, so it's like a double win. So I really appreciate y'all. I'm going to put our beautiful closing video on. I'm going to leave the chat up just a bit, so if there's other things happening, but please have a great day, evening, wherever you happen to be.